Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. We talk about all things audio on this channel, so if you have any interest in audio, speakers, what else?
Yes.
I don't know. I personally don't know much about audio. That's why I'm asking our speaker expert.
Oh.
And I'm asking him all the questions. He's giving you his best responses.
Yes.
So
Have mercy.
Let's get down to business.
Yes.
We're talking about subwoofers. Now, what if you cannot decide whether you want a subwoofer? It's confusing, like whether you need one or not. Subwoofer or not? What do you say?
Right. Well, it's really about your experience. It's like, what are you going for? You know, what experience do you want to have?
Okay.
I mean, if you're thinking about if you need one, sounds to me like you're lacking bass.
Okay, so say I already bought a pair of speakers, and I'm not hearing enough bass. Could it be that I just need better speakers, or do I need to make another purchase and add on the subwoofer? Like, could I just buy another pair of speakers, or do you suggest to buy a subwoofer to add on the speakers that I already bought?
Yeah, I mean, so if the set of speakers you bought, you know, are big, and for some reason it's lacking bass, that could have something to do with also the placement, like where it's located in the room, because the sound waves of the deep bass they're so big that they can disappear by facing each other out between the walls, which called standing waves. And so that placement that you need for you to listen at stereo on a pair of like stand mount speakers or floor standing speakers, you know, there can only be probably one place in the room, but the subwoofer sounds, the deep sounds, could still disappear in the room, you know. So you might need, you know, that subwoofer to be somewhere where it's pressurizing the room perfectly to have bass where you're sitting. So, but if you can orient those floor standing speakers somewhere else, try a different placement. You know, you could place them if you have the ability to place them somewhere else, try that. I mean, placing them somewhere else in the room would certainly change the amount of bass from them.
Oh, okay. Because the bass sound waves are so long, so you can kind of experiment with where you place them and give them room to come out, right?
Yeah. So that it ends up having bass energy, like the waves would be at a great strength where you're sitting, because it's gonna be a variation depending on where you are in the room, how much energy you have in the low end.
Okay.
And that problem gets bigger with a smaller room. You have more and more issues of this kind. Yeah. Okay. But I mean, and also you will have areas there's like very dominant, you know. So it's like, because of it, you have a lot of like what's also called interference between them. I mean, so negative and positive interference is like when the waves. Positive is when the waves are, you know, alongside at the same timing, and if one wave of the same wavelength comes the other way and evens the other one out, then you have negative interference. Yeah.
Okay.
So a subwoofer could solve that problem, you know, if you know. Okay. But it could be that you could solve it by finding a different place for your speakers.
Different placement in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about full range speakers? So if I buy the full range speakers, would I still need to get a subwoofer, you know, because I want bass?
Yes. So full range speaker is just a speaker. That's just something that had come along, you know, that expression is just referring to any speaker that plays all of the tones, but it doesn't say how well it's playing the tones. Okay. It's just a speaker, really. I mean, but it's not like the subwoofer, you know, that's because that it's only playing like those deep tones, so that's why it's defined like that. So not to you know, if you want to make sure that they don't get confused, you can say like, well, that's full range, you know. And
so a full range speaker is basically all speakers
yes,
except for the sub.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay. And so, what about a center speaker? So if I have a center speaker,
Yep.
do I need a sub, or does that center speaker play those low frequencies?
Yeah, so I mean, so those two don't have anything in common because a center speaker is entirely only for what's it called, for surround sound, for home cinema purpose, for particularly voices, for speech. So that's a channel in right. It's not the same. So and typically you won't target anything lower but 60 hertz. That is about the deepest overtones of like the deepest voices of people, and so that's what you'll be targeting. So they don't play bass, and they shouldn't either. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So, okay, now I've heard this term before, and I know it has something to do with bass because it's bass tube. What is that? And does that have anything to do with subwoofer?
Yes. Well, so I mean that's just manufacturers. I mean that is taking a tube and putting a woofer in it. It doesn't do anything specific compared to the box. It's just simply just the enclosure shape that is defining the bass tube. It doesn't have anything, that the box can't do. And then I'll add a thing is that, I mean, so if you start like thinking about the shape, if there's an advantage to round and all this kind of stuff, it's like, well, the shortest waves are about maybe 8 foot, So it's like, so how this little box is going to be shaped doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Nope.
So, but the bass tube has a sub. It's just like a sub inside the tube.
Yeah, it will have like the speaker driver, like the subwoofer, like a box subwoofer has. It would just be, instead of a square box, you will take a tube and stick that in instead. Okay. So I mean, that's it. There is no technology difference.
So it's a sub, but it's just got a different shape around it.
Yes.
Okay, that's all that is.
Yeah. If anybody's claiming technology on that one, I would really like to hear the physics behind it.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay, so one more question, and I'm not sure I know the difference, so let me just ask it.
Yes.
What is the difference between subwoofer and amplifier? I mean, for instance, like if I want more bass, can't I just amp it up with an amplifier?
Yeah, no. So, okay. So the line of how the equipment is working is that you start out with a signal, which is like, it could be a streamer, it could be a CD player, it could be something that produces the music, it could even be a smartphone, that's creating a signal, very little signal, 1 or 2 volts, like a very little signal. And then you need the amplifier after that to strengthen that signal up to something that can drive a speaker, like a speaker driver, because that thing doesn't have anything electrical in it. It needs powered signal to come into it, typically 40, 50 or 60, even all the way up to 80 or 90 volts of signal coming into it.
So that's what the amplifier does.
That's what it does. It just brings that little signal up to a big signal. So if you have an active subwoofer, you cannot connect an amplifier to it because it already has one in there. So you'll kill them both if you tried. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That about wraps it up for today's video. We hope you've enjoyed our topic for today, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.